Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am their West African correspondent, Edward Amara. Welcome to this all-important forum where we inform, we educate, and we tell you almost everything about the continent, especially Africa. Focus on Africa uses this page on a daily basis to ensure that we educate our listeners on events that happen on the continent, especially Mama Africa. So welcome, you can feel free to participate, drop your comment, and make your sincere recommendation. We at Focus on Liberia believing in the improvement of our coverage, coming to you with news that matter, and we also want to get responses or feedback based on our media, on our means that we can be able to improve on our broadcast network, and also to ensure that we serve humanity, especially Liberians, Sierra Leoneans, or West Africa. Today, we have 8 important headlines. Some are in Africa, and all of them are in Africa. In the north, nothing, absolutely. But we have programs that come from the Horn of Africa and definitely in West Africa. First, we go into Sudan. Let me read the main headlines to you. Sudan hospital hit in airstrike and embassy looted. Then Somalians keep close eye on Turkey's general election. Then in our third episode or headline, we have Eritrea leader makes rare visit to China. We know what he went to do there. The Senegal opposition leader supporters block Sonko's home. Then Usman Sonko, that is the opposition leader of Senegal. Then we have Afrobeat singer Seun Kuti arrested for assault or alleged assault on police officer. Then South Africa will stay neutral on Ukraine war. Why appointed army chief despite concern, Kenyan leader William Ruto said. Then Ghana opposition picks ex-president for 2024 presidential election. Welcome to this all-important program where we inform, we entertain, we educate, and we tell you everything African, and we can even connect Africa to the wider world and try to link our failures, maybe successes, and challenges that we definitely have the opportunity to overcome. First, let's start with Sudan. Since the 5th of February, the 5th of March, Sudan has started undertaken series of bombardment from its own military. Gone are those days when the military was meant to defend its citizens against external aggression. Today, sadly enough, in Africa, we are seeing the military doing the abominable on its own citizens, killing. The rivalry between Dagalo and Abuam has gone beyond expectation. It has been unarguably blown out of proportion. Civilians have been raped, some have been killed, tortured, and people are massively displaced. A lot of internally displaced people are found into Sudan, and some have found themselves into places like Saudi Arabia. Others are going to countries that surround Sudan. And when those countries are definitely also not peaceful, if you watch like Southern Sudan, the war is actually going on in northern Sudan. But when you watch at Southern Sudan, in Southern Sudan, there is also a series of war going on in Southern Sudan. And the economic hub of Southern Sudan actually depends on Northern Sudan. And the economic hub of Northern Sudan, it's oil. That is the main natural resources. Around 80% of the South Sudanese or the Southern Sudan government depends on the oil. 80% of its economy depends on the oil. That is why you are seeing the like of Riek Machar massively being involved into the negotiation, because Riek Machar does not want the current fragile political situation into northern Sudan to exacerbate its economic woes. They have definitely been involved into negotiation, and Saudi Arabia has also been involved. Those were or representatives from the two political parties or two rivals fighting into southern Sudan have actually gone into northern Sudan to see that they successfully get a negotiation. Unfortunately, things have not definitely stopped back at home. There is war, there is misunderstanding. The entire situation is going from bad to worst. Yesterday, we learned that the Rapid Support Forces attacked the Sudanese embassy, the Somalia embassy in southern Sudan, and looted some hospitals around the embassy and other part of southern Sudan. The Somalia embassy was looted, and most of its valuables were taken away. Then, both leaders are vowing to boldly arrest their rival and prosecute him. And Hamditi said he will ensure that Al-Buhan is being arrested, brought to book, and publicly executed. These are some of the wording coming from the two parties, which do not actually signal any culture of peace. So there is no iota of doubt into what they are doing, because these guys are well calibrated into dangerous attitude, and because of their selfish, unscrupulous needs, they have thrown the country into a total chaotic situation where almost everything is being bastardized. We are now seeing a situation where the South is now definitely worried, because she depends on the oil, and most of their oil refinery or whatsoever thing are actually coming from the north. They have had an agreement which part of that money is being given to the northern Sudan. But who knows, if this conflict escalates, either Al-Buhan or Dagalo may end up attacking these oil refineries and the machines that are responsible for the extraction of this oil. Then South Sudan may also tend to suffer. We don't know in the near future if South Sudan may even ask if the conflict escalates. I'm suspecting a situation where South Sudan may definitely end up asking for permission. Maybe, I don't know now from whom, because if such permission is going to be asked, I really don't know from whom is the permission going to be asked, or who is going to grant the permission. Because it will rise to a situation that South Sudan will be left with no option rather than to protect its interest into North Sudan. And by so doing, she must ask permission from one of these warring factions to ensure that they get the area protected. Who are they going to ask? Nobody knows. If they ask Al-Buhan, maybe Dagalo may end up to attack. If they ask Dagalo, then even Hamdidi Al-Buhan may end up to attack. So both are saying and both are vowing that one party must be captured, brought to book, and publicly executed. So this is the situation that we are seeing, and it is now growing from bad to worse. So let's see. Somalis keep close eye on Turkey's general election. We all know Recep Tayyip Erdogan. He is the president of Turkey. 10 years back, he was actually the prime minister. He amended the constitution and has a political mandate that gave him the opportunity and the constitutional mandate to act in the capacity of the president after successfully conducting a referendum into Turkey, which many people termed as a well-manipulated, well-orchestrated system a premeditated act which was well rigged in favor of him. Turkey is actually in Europe, but part of Turkey as Russia, including Egypt, they found themselves, these are intercontinental countries. It is like Russia, Turkey. When you see Turkey, you have part of Turkey that is actually in Asia and part is in Europe. Just like Russia, part of Russia is in Asia and part of Russia is in Europe. Then, like Egypt, maybe Egypt one could arguably say part of it is in North Africa, then it extended some way in to the Middle East. So we are now seeing a situation where Turkey is so placed. Very good. It has a very radical regime of what Erdogan has on numerous occasions got himself involved, especially like against against certain militias into his country. And he has actually been involved into the war against Syria. Maybe he has managed to ensure that the Syrians' war do not have an impact on him. And especially the north and south of Israel, he has on numerous occasions bombarded those places. And we also saw the mudslide or the earthquake, the around 12 or 18 magnitude earthquake that killed over 200,000 Turkish died anyway, but nobody knows the exact figure. So now, Erdogan was actually being blamed for having badly affected the economy of Turkey. But arguably, Turkey is one of the best, maybe, European countries independently doing certain things without being part of the EU. And EU may not allow Turkey to join it because they think and feel that Turkey is not running a democratic government. So we are seeing this situation, it is going from bad to worse, and everything is just being bastardized. But coming to Somalia, the Somalis have expressed strong interest into the Turkish general election that was actually held yesterday. Erdogan won by 49%, or he led by 49%, while his close rival had around 44%. And he was actually supposed to have an absolute majority, 55% of the total valid vote cast. Unfortunately, he fell short. Now, he will definitely contest the election against his closest rival, who had 44.8%. He's going to contest this election. But the Somalis are actually expressing support for Erdogan because they are claiming that in time of distress, in time of trouble, in time of their wars, when they were busy fighting against insurgents after the fall of their long-standing leader Said Barre in 1991, Somalia went into total political disharmony, political volatile, pandemonium engulfed the country. So most of them were found in refugees camp. It was only Erdogan, who was by then prime minister, not a president, visited Turkey. He helped build hospitals and open military bases into Somalia. When he opened military bases into Somalia, he also helped train the Somalians against the like of Al-Shabaab and others. So, they are saying that they are 100% behind Erdogan, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, so that he can win the presidential election. And they believe in the humanity of this particular man so that every situation will continue. And they are actually beneficiaries of what Erdogan has done. So they have strong support for him, and their strong prayer is to ensure that the strong man still maintains the area. Now let's come to in another horn of Africa. We are still in the horn of Africa. We come to Eritrea. The leader of Eritrea, Isaias, or some people call him Isaiah Kuti, visited China on very rare occasion. He actually went through the Tiananmen Square. That was when China was having series of demonstrations when people were asking for political liberty, political freedom. Thousands of people were killed by the Chinese government by then. He went and met President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Li Qiang. They had a fruitful discussion, And he thanked China for being one of the countries on the planet that want to restructure the order of the world. The order of the world, indirectly blaming America to be having an autocratic type of leadership. He thinks and feels that the like of China are the bone in USA's neck, and they have the opportunity to challenge most of what is happening today in the US. So he thanked Xi Jinping and his government, and he said it is one of the countries that they are actually looking up to. Of course, China have a military base in Djibouti, which is very close to Tanzania. In Djibouti, very close to Tanzania. It is an island actually. So, China actually want to extend its military base into Eritrea. The visit of Seun Kuti is seen as a means to solidify that particular plan. And Eritrea is one of the countries on the continent of Africa that have been accused of having several human rights violations, oppressive regime, unpredictable authoritarian regime, where the life of journalists and commoners are definitely not safe. So China want to extend it want to make Eritrea as one of its own proxies. So we are yet to see how things like that happen. Let's come into West Africa, Senegal. Ousmane Sonko, whom has been surrounded by his supporters, who claim that any attempt by the government of Makassar to arrest him will be declared illegal and they are going to resist. Tear gases, tires and other things have been burned and fired into the capital city, Dakar. And they are promising not to let the unscrupulous kangaroo court system into Senegal lay hand on the opposition leader. He was sentenced, given a suspended sentence, which is 6 months, because of his alleged defamation of the country's tourism minister. Now, the opposition leader is facing trial because of an alleged incitement to commit violence and also rape, which his supporters term as a well-planned, orchestrated, political, motivated crime. They want to do it as a ploy that will bar him from contesting the 2024 election. But they have vowed never to let the kangaroo court decision come to pass. That is what is happening today in Senegal. Let's come to West Africa again. Afrobeat singer Seun Kuti arrested for alleged assault on a police officer in uniform. According to popular allegation, the Afrobeat, he is the son of the giant and well-renowned Nigeria revolutionary singer Fela Kuti. If you listen to Fela Kuti music, he was a revolutionary, an African renaissance. He did a lot to revive the system. So he was actually arrested because he assaulted a police officer in uniform. According to allegations, he assaulted a police officer in uniform. So Fela Kuti, son Seun Kuti, has been he handed himself into the police and promised full cooperation. According to allegation, he assaulted the police officer in self-defense because the police officer had wanted to kill him and his family. So in so doing, he has no option rather than to defend himself, according to the allegation. And he promised full cooperation. In Nigeria, assaulting a police officer while he or she is in uniform is taken as a serious crime and is punishable by 3 years imprisonment. His arrest and publication of him being in chain, in handcuff, on social media have taken a lot of interpretation. But we all know how hard-handed the Nigerian police are. So let's see what that particular court system will bring. Then we go to South Africa, in the southern part of Africa. South Africa still is insisting that they are going to remain neutral on the war in Ukraine. They have neither condemned nor praised or qualified Russia's invasion on the Ukrainian soil. They regard it as an absolute sovereignty affairs, and they don't intend to condemn anybody because they do not know what really happened. They believe in dialogue, and they want the world, instead of them taking part, should involve into dialogue to ensure that peace and sanity is being sustained or returned into Ukraine. And America, or a diplomat from America, actually apologized to the South African government for having accused them of supplying arms and ammunition to Russia as a means of moral and support. But it has now been proven beyond reasonable doubt that it was weapons here never supplied to Russia, and they have actually apologized and they said maybe it was a wrong statement and the investigation was not properly done, and the answers they arrived at were actually wrong, and they have officially apologized to the South African government. Then let's see why I appointed Army Chief Justice despite concern. Wafulu Chebukati was the former Chief Electoral Commissioner of Kenya, and before she pronounced Mr. William Ruto being the winner, Wafulu actually accused this general of having gone to him in the company of others for him to overturn the election result that was clearly won by William Ruto. In that, he was seen as an unpatriotic citizen who had the intention to impose a government on the Kenyans. But the general actually admitted of having attended a meeting to the chief electoral, or with the chief electoral commissioner, but the former chief electoral commissioner, but he did not compel nor suggest to her what they should do in terms of the election result. All what he said was that he told the chief electoral commissioner to ensure that Kenya has a peaceful election result. And elections, you have three phases: the before, the after, and the during. These are some of the things. So some people who are great concern, we are actually saying that the president wouldn't have appointed the general. However, this same called general is a member of the president's tribe. So some people are seeing it as a subversive move to ensure that he installed his own tribe men into power. However, William Ruto said careful investigation or interviews we have been done. Based on his experience and CV, he is the most person qualified to lead the Kenyan army. So his decision was taken on patriotism or on patriotic act, not on anything that has to do with the allegation being tabled against him. That is what he's saying. Then in Kenya also, this same president is saying that they are going to ensure that they regulate the church activities, get themselves registered. Kenya has over 4,000 churches, registered churches. So over 201 persons were killed by the Serve Good News International Church, who asked its members to starve themselves to death with the notion that meeting Christ early so that they can gain redemption in heaven. And according to them, children were the first to be killed. And most of those who actually lost their life, it was out of strangulation, starvation, and suffocation. The police also alleged that some of the victims have missing organs, so that they are going to investigate. Finally, we end in Ghana. John Dramani Mahama has been chosen as the main presidential contender against Nana Akufo-Addo in the 2024 Ghana general election. John Dramani Mahama lost power in 2016. His predecessor, whom he was deputizing, known as John Evans Atta Mills, died in 2015. Around December in 2016, Dramani came to power. He lost power subsequently. He contested election, just ruled for one term, and in the subsequent time in 2016, he definitely lost the power. Today, he has been elected as the main opposition leader, and he thinks and feels that he will win the election. He won the election by 99.7%, beating his closest rival, who only has less than 1%. The third person in the contest withdrew before the election we are being contested. So far so good. These are some of the major stories emanating from the continent of Africa. Join me back tomorrow, same place, same time. Edward Amara is the name. To end the news, the main headlines one more. Sudan hospital hit in airstrike and embassy looted. Somalians keep close eyes on Turkey's general election. Eritrea leader makes rare visit to China. Senegal opposition leaders or supporters block opposition's home. Then Afrobeat singer Seun Kuti arrested for alleged police assault. Then South Africa will stay neutral on Ukraine, says President Cyril Ramaphosa. Then why I appointed Army Chief Justice despite concern. Kenya leader lamented. Finally, Ghana opposition makes ex-president John Dramani Mahama as their presidential candidate for 2024 general election. Thank you. It's been me, Edward Amara, full of course on Africa, West African correspondent.